AITA for recording my uncle's drink request? My uncle thinks it's funny to get me to run back and forth between the pool and the kitchen getting him drinks. He will say he wants a Coke, then claim he asked for a beer, then asked where his Coke is. He usually blames it on us AMN millennials always being on our phones and not paying attention. For whatever reason, my parents don't tell him to isif. It started getting old a long time ago, and I usually dealt with it by making myself scarce when HE is over. He was visiting over Memorial Day and he caught me. He asked for a Coke, so I brought him a Coke. Then he said he had asked for a beer. So I pulled out my phone and played the video I had recorded of him asking for a Coke. Like most of us AMN millennials, I was on my phone when he asked and I knew what was coming, so I recorded his request. He asked me for a beer because that's what he really wanted, so I told him I would be happy to get him a beer after he finished his drink because unlike his boomer generation I don't waste stuff for the fun of it. He got huffy because he was just joking around. The next time he asked me for a drink, my phone was in my pocket. So I pulled it out and said I didn't remember what he asked for, could he please repeat himself? He said he would just get his own drinks. I told him that was a great idea. My parents think I was a jerk being rude to a guest and my elder. I thought I was just making sure he got what he asked for. AITA? Edith is actually a millennial and I am Gen Z, I guess. And yes, it is cultural as to why I'm expected to fetch him food and drinks. AITA for being upset with the clothes my granddaughter wore on her way out of the maternity ward? I know it sounds silly, but I would like an outside opinion and accept any judgment. I have 4 children and 5 grandchildren. For all of my grandchildren, I made a knitted clothes and hat for them to come out of the maternity ward. It started with my first grandchild and all the ones that followed. My kids asked me to do it. It is customary in my country for clothes to be a certain color to represent something good, health, peace and protection. I don't do it professionally and I work, so it's something I do in my spare time and it takes months because I do it with all the love and care. Nor do I force my children to accept it. Most ask right after they announce the pregnancy if I can make the clothes. My oldest daughter, I'll call Pam, announced Thatch was pregnant and asked me to make it for her daughter. We found out later. Clearly I did. She chose the color red and honestly, it was one of the prettiest jobs I've ever done and finished within 7 months of her pregnancy. She gave birth about 20 days ago. My granddaughter was born healthy, perfect and bright. I was heartbroken on the way out of the maternity ward when I found out that my granddaughter would not wear the clothes I made, but one that Pam got from her in-laws from a very expensive brand, like Gucci. I didn't say anything to her, but in a conversation with my son I just vented that I was heartbroken about it and that I wouldn't have any problems if she didn't ask, and I didn't do it in the sense of exposing my daughter or anything, but just after my son insisted on me talking because he realized that I was a little down. The word spread among my children's until it reached Pam in the form of a scolding for someone else. She called me angrily saying that she didn't believe I was jealous of an clother and that her daughter could wear it any time, but that I decided to make this moment about me and not celebrate my granddaughter's life. I'm lost. I'm just heartbroken that I've been making something so lovingly for months for a specific moment and not been told at any point Thatch wouldn't use it. My family is divided, some criticizing me and others on my side. AITA. Yes, she asked to this. I'll give the context better and leave it to you. I stayed with her through delivery and the following 2 weeks. At their request, because my daughter was in pain from the C-section and my son-in-law was taking care of my granddaughter's paperwork, I put the clothes on her. There was a baby suitcase with the sets separated into packages and a label for what they for. There was only one for leave the maternity and there was that clother, and nothing else. I even took a look at the suitcase and asked if it was that package. She confirmed that it was what had this clothes. And no, I didn't comment on anything while I was there, because she was really stressed, tired and didn't need a comment like this. I didn't comment with her and I just commented with my son, because it was an extremely personal thing with no intention of reaching Pam, but the word spread. AITA for stealing my sister's thunder on her engagement party? My 23F sister, 25F, recently got engaged to her fiancé, 26M, after they'd been dating for a year. Their engagement party was basically a dinner with friends and close relatives, and my sister went all out on the food. To her, marriage is a huge deal, and she's had her whole wedding and married life planned out since we were kids. I've never felt the same excitement for weddings and kids and such things, even though I do want it at some point, and since I'm a lesbian in an homophobic family, I long ago accepted that a big fancy wedding with my father walking me down the aisle isn't part of the plan. This doesn't sadden me much, but my sister, who's the only one in my family who know about my sexuality, has been convinced that I'm jealous of her since she started dating her fiancé. The dinner started out great, but after the main course, my family and relatives started asking about my dating life. It was pretty harmless questions at first, such as, when are you getting a boyfriend? And, why aren't you dating? I saw that boy hitting on you just yesterday. It annoyed me, but my sister seemed even more annoyed. After dessert, when the alcohol started kicking in, the questions got a little out of hand. My mom said, I can't believe your sister got engaged first, you've always been more social. And my grandma commented in that I was the more attractive sister. My sister obviously got hurt by this, and I caught her crying in the bathroom at one point. I tried to talk to her, but all she said was, happy? You've made my engagement all about you, and then avoided me for the rest of the party, so this is the part where I might have been the bad guy. After my aunt asked when I would get a boyfriend for the millionth time, and I'd had my millionth glass of wine, I told her that I'd never get a boyfriend, but when I got a girlfriend she'd be the first to know. I then stormed out of the apartment, accidentally knocking a glass over, and took a cab home. My phone immediately started blowing up, but I turned notifications off and went straight to bed. One of me and my sister's mutual friend, who was on the party, told me the next day that a wild discussion about what I said to my aunt was held and then the party cut short. My sister locked herself in her room crying and everyone went home. I have now been blocked by most of my family and relatives. My sister sent me a nasty text about how me coming out on her part stole her thunder, and my mother no longer considers me family. I'm not going to try to make up excuses for my behavior, because I definitely could have been a more supporting sister, but I just wanted to know, AITA? AITA for fat-shaming my friend's autistic boyfriend? My mom and stepdad had to go see my grandparents because of some emergency, so it was just me, 19F, and my twin siblings, 8F, 8 meters. I had planned on inviting 2 friends and my parents said I still could, so they came. One of my friends brought her boyfriend, Mike. I usually don't mind, the more the merrier, but I'm not a fan of his. He's kind of a ick and blames it on his autism. But IDK, I'm not really educated on all that. Anyways, my sister was playing in their playroom but my brother was bored and wanted attention. He's really into having abs and muscles and being strong RN, and he does gymnastics and all that, so he was doing cartwheels and stuff till he got a little dizzy. He sat on my lap and started showing me his arms and asked if his muscles got bigger. He's 8, so he still has little arms, but I said, OMG, they're totally getting bigger. Mike randomly interrupted to go, nah man, you got noodle arms. My brother didn't really catch what he said, so he just brushed him off, but I was upset. Discreetly told him to STFU. But Mike was all like, what? I'm just telling the truth. He has to do a lot marathon that to get some real muscles, noodle SS kid. I reminded him that my brother is 8, but he said that his age is irrelevant here. My brother then decided to show us another gymnastics move, I think it's a round off. But headed it and we all clapped for him. Except of course, Mike. He went, that was anticlimactic. He continued with, no offense but this is the most unimpressive kid ever. Get out of here with her skinny SS. I was honestly so pissed off at this point that I sarcastically said, I'd like to see your fat SSTRY to do what he did. He immediately got upset and his girlfriend gasped like I said something outrageous. Where was her horror when her BF was insulting my kid brother? But Mike got all up in my face about being an ITCH before leaving. His girlfriend told me that I went too far, especially since I know he has autism, and that she can't believe I fat-shamed him when he isn't even that fat. Besides, he isn't wrong and her brother's annoying. My other friend that was there told me that she thinks he was rude, but I did too much. Edit. I may be uneducated, but I'm not stupid. If you're going to DM me anti-autistic people rap, I'm not going to reply because I do not agree with your horrible remarks. My issue is not an excuse for people to be discriminatory towards those with autism. Like many people are saying in the comments, Mikey's not a representation of those with autism. Just like how people wouldn't generalize not autistic people based on some SS holes. We can all learn here. Thank you to all who provided insight. AITA for bringing my nephew to lunch with me? A few months back my sill was T-boned at light. The person didn't even brake and hit her side of the car going fast. Worst still, she was a new mom of a month. Her injury are awful and included a broken pelvis right after a C-section. He boyfriend bailed on her and the new baby, so my husband with his parents have become full-time caregivers. I often have my nephew with me and acting as primary mother role. My whole family knows this. My sister had a birthday party at a restaurant and I brought my nephew. He wasn't bad or anything, but my sister was mad that I brought a baby to her birthday dinner. My family just told me to give them a heads up in the future because they might want to change plans if a baby is coming. I told them as of right now they should be treating my nephew and I as a package deal because my sil has a long road of recovery ahead of her. My dad told me, I'm sorry you have to go through this, it isn't right to raise a baby at my age because I'm so young. I'm 24. My response was WTF is wrong with you all? And now everyone acts like I'm out of line and being disrespectful to my family. Info. It was the Cheesecake Factory.